15 minutes after the blood was washed off the floor, Joe Frazier finally asked Muhammad Ali the question that haunted him for 10 years. Manila, the 1st of October 1975. The Philippine Coliseum locker room. The kind of silence that only exists after violence, after something so brutal that even the walls seem to hold their breath. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. Somewhere, water drips from a faucet that won't quite close. The smell of sweat and blood and liniment hangs in the air so thick you can taste it. Muhammad Ali sits on a wooden bench, still in his trunks, white with red trim, soaked through with sweat and spotted with blood. His own, Frazier's, hard to tell anymore. His hands shake slightly, not from fear, from exhaustion so complete his body doesn't remember how to be still. His left eye is swollen nearly shut. His right cheek carries a cut that will need stitches. His ribs scream with every breath. Probably cracked, maybe broken. Doesn't matter now. Across the room, 20 feet away, Joe Frazier sits on an identical bench, also still in his trunks, green with gold trim, also soaked, also spotted with blood. His face is worse, much worse. Both eyes swollen, the left one completely closed, purple and black and grotesque. His lips split in 3 places. His jaw might be broken. He'll find out tomorrow. Tonight, he just sits, breathes, exists. Between them, 15 feet of concrete floor, empty, a canyon, a gulf wider than the Pacific Ocean outside this building. The fight ended 30 minutes ago. Round 14. Ali's corner stopped it. Couldn't let him go out for round 15. Eddie Futch, Frazier's trainer, made the same decision seconds later. Both men broken beyond what anyone thought possible. Both men pushed past human limits into something else, something darker. Something that proved they were warriors but cost them pieces of their souls. The Thrilla in Manila. The fight people will talk about for 50 years. The fight that defines brutality. The fight that proves 2 men can hate each other enough to die in a ring and still respect what they're destroying in each other. But right now, in this locker room, there's no respect. There's no hate either. Just exhaustion. Just 2 men who nearly killed each other sitting in silence because words require energy neither man has left. The reporters are gone. Rush to file stories, to tell the world what they witnessed. The trainers are gone, getting ice, getting doctors, getting whatever can be gotten to put these men back together. The photographers are gone. They got their shots. Ali collapsed in his corner. Frazier unable to see out of either eye. The money shots. The images that will define this moment forever. It's just Ali and Frazier now. Alone. For the first time in 10 years. Completely alone. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Ali moves first. Not much. Just shifts his weight. The bench creaks under him. Frazier's head turns slightly. Can't see much out of those swollen eyes, but he hears. Tracks movement by sound. You still breathing over there? Ali's voice is different. No showmanship. No poetry. No proclamations about being the greatest. Just a rasp. Raw. Honest. The voice of a man who nearly died tonight, and knows it. Barely. Frazier's voice is worse. Thick through swollen lips. Jaw definitely broken. Each word costs him. But he answers. Because that's what Frazier does. Never quits. Even when he should. Silence again. Water dripping. Lights humming. Both men breathing like they just surfaced from drowning. Which they did. 14 rounds of drowning in violence. Ali tries to laugh. Can't quite manage it. Comes out as a wheeze. We're both crazy. You know that? Been knowing that. Frazier shifts. Winces. His ribs are worse than Ali's. 3 definitely cracked. Only crazy men do what we just did. What we've been doing for 10 years. 10 years of hell. Ali nods. Regrets it immediately. His neck feels like it might not support his head much longer. 3 fights. each one worse than the last. This one was different. Frazier's voice carries something new, something that wasn't there before. Not anger, not even pain, something else. Something raw and true and waiting to be born. This one, we both lost. The words hang in the air. True, devastatingly true. Ali won on paper, his hand will be raised. But nobody won tonight. Both men destroyed. Both men pushed past the point where winning means anything. This is the exact moment everything changed. Joe, Ali says the name carefully. Not Frazier, not boy, like he used to say to humiliate him. Just Joe, a man's name, respect in 2 letters. Frazier's head turns more, trying to see Ali through the narrow slits his eyes have become. What? Ali opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. The words won't come. He's Muhammad Ali. Words are his weapon. Words are what he does. Fast hands and faster mouth. The Louisville lip. The man who never stops talking. But right now, in this locker room, the words stick in his throat like broken glass. Ali starts, stops, tries again. I need to tell you something. Tell me you retiring. That's what I want to hear. Maybe I should. Maybe we both should. Maybe. Frazier doesn't sound convinced. Neither does Ali. They're fighters. It's what they do. What they are. The ring is the only place either man makes sense. Even when it nearly kills them. Ali stands. His legs almost give out. He catches himself on the bench, waits for the room to stop spinning, then walks. Each step is an adventure in pain, across the 15 feet of concrete, across the canyon, the gulf, the distance they've maintained for 10 years while trying to destroy each other. He sits down next to Frazier, on the same bench, close enough to touch, close enough to feel the heat radiating off Frazier's battered body. Frazier doesn't move, doesn't tell him to leave, just sits there, breathing, waiting. Wait, don't miss this detail. I'm sorry, Ali says it quietly. So quietly Frazier almost doesn't hear, almost thinks he imagined it, because Muhammad Ali doesn't apologize. Never has, never will. That's not who he is. That's not the character he plays. The greatest doesn't apologize to anyone. But he just did. Frazier's head turns, both eyes trying to focus on Ali through the swelling. What did you say? I said I'm sorry. Louder this time. Clearer. Each word costs him something. Pride. Image. The mask he's worn for so long he forgot his own face underneath. Sorry for what? For beating me tonight? Don't be sorry for that. You won fair. Not for that. Ali looks down at his hands. Taped knuckles. Blood under the tape. His hands. The hands that made him famous. The hands that hurt Joe Frazier. More than any other man ever has. For the other stuff. The words. The things I said. The locker room gets quieter. Impossibly, it gets quieter. Even the dripping faucet seems to pause. Even the humming lights hold their breath. Because this is it. This is the moment. The thing that's been building for 10 years. Since that first fight in 1971. Since Ali started calling Frazier names. Since he made it personal. Made it about more than boxing. But what's truly shocking is what Joe Frazier does next. Why? Frazier asks. Simple question. One word. But it carries 10 years of hurt. 10 years of humiliation. 10 years of being called ignorant, ugly, a gorilla, an Uncle Tom, a white man's champion. 10 years of Muhammad Ali making Joe Frazier into a villain when Frazier never wanted to be anything but a fighter, a good man, a father, a champion. Why did you call me ignorant? Why did you say I was stupid? Why did you call me a gorilla? Frazier's voice breaks. Not from pain, from something deeper. From the place where words cut worse than fists. Why did you make people hate me when all I ever did was fight you fair? Ali sits with the question, with the weight of it, with the truth of it. The locker room waits. The universe waits. Because Muhammad Ali always has an answer, always has a comeback, always has a line ready. But not tonight. Tonight he just sits with Joe Frazier's pain and admits the truth he's been avoiding for 10 years. Because I needed you to be the villain. Ali says it so quietly, Frazier has to lean in to hear. I needed people to hate you, so they'd love me. I needed you to be everything I wasn't, so I could be everything you weren't. Frazier says nothing, just listens, just breathes, just waits for more. When they took my title, Ali continues, his voice rough with something that might be tears, might be blood in his throat, might be shame finally finding its voice. When they took everything from me for refusing the draft, when I came back and you were champion, I couldn't just fight you. I had to make it bigger, had to make it about something, had to make you the bad guy so I could be the hero. I supported you. Frazier's voice carries no anger, just confusion, just hurt. When they took your title, when nobody would give you money, I helped you. I spoke up for you. I told people you had the right to your beliefs. I know. Then why? This is the question that could haunt Muhammad Ali for the rest of his life. Because I'm a coward. The words come out like broken teeth, like something Ali has to spit out or choke on. Not in the ring. In the ring, I'm brave. But outside, with words, with the things that matter. I'm a coward. I hurt you because it was easier than being honest. I made you into what I needed you to be, instead of seeing what you actually were. And what was I? A good man, a hard worker, a fighter who earned everything, someone who deserved respect. Ali's voice cracks completely. Someone who deserved better than what I gave you. Frazier sits with this, processes it. 10 years of anger, 10 years of hatred, 10 years of wanting to hear these words and believing he never would. And now here they are, in an empty locker room, both men broken, both men bleeding, both men finally honest. You hurt me worse with words than you ever did with your fists. Frazier says it matter-of-factly. No accusation, just truth. Every punch tonight I could take. But when you called me ignorant on television, when you called me a gorilla, when you made my kids cry because other kids called their daddy ugly and stupid, that hurt worse than anything in this ring. Ali closes his eyes. His good eye. The one that still works. I know. Do you? Do you really know what it's like to be called ignorant when you can barely read but you're trying? To be called stupid when you're doing your best? To have your kids ask why that man on TV says their daddy is ugly? No. Ali shakes his head. Careful. Slow. I don't know that. I've been called a lot of things. But not those things. Not the things that cut deepest. What you've seen so far is nothing compared to what happens next. They sit in silence. Two men who've spent 10 years trying to destroy each other. 3 fights. 41 rounds. More punches thrown than either man can count. More pain inflicted than should be possible. And now, finally, in the quiet after the violence, something else is possible. Something neither man expected. I hated you, Frazier says it simply. For 10 years, I hated you more than I've ever hated anyone. I know. Do you hate me? Ali thinks about this. Really thinks. Because it's an important question. The most important question. No, I never hated you. That's the truth. I used you. I hurt you. I made you into something you weren't. But I never hated you. If anything, he pauses, struggles with what comes next. If anything, I respected you too much. That's why I had to make you a villain. Because if people saw you as you really were, good, honest, hard-working, they might like you more than me. And I couldn't let that happen. So you destroyed my reputation to protect yours. Yes. Frazier absorbs this. Nods slowly. At least you're honest now. Too late to be anything else. Ali looks at Frazier, really looks at him, at the damage he did tonight, at the swollen eyes, the split lips, the broken jaw, at 10 years of damage that goes deeper than any wound visible on the surface. Joe, I can't take back the words. I can't undo what I did, but I need you to know. You're not ignorant. You're not stupid. You're not a gorilla. You're a warrior. You're a champion. You're everything a man should be. You won't believe this, but what Joe Frazier does next changes everything. Frazier reaches out. His hand finds Ali's shoulder, pats it once, twice. Gentle. The hand that threw hooks powerful enough to drop men with one shot. The hand that just spent 14 rounds trying to break Ali's ribs. The hand that carries violence like a second language. That hand pats Ali's shoulder with something that looks almost like forgiveness. I'm still angry, Frazier says. Don't think I'm not. This don't fix 10 years of hurt. But, he pauses, searches for words. But I appreciate you saying it. Took courage to say what you just said. More courage than it takes to fight. Took nearly dying to find that courage. That's usually what it takes. Frazier almost smiles. Can't quite manage it through the swollen lips. We both nearly died tonight. Closest I ever came. Me too. Frazier leans back against the wall. Winces. We're getting too old for this. We're 33. Feel like 60 after tonight. They sit. Two old warriors in young bodies. Two men who pushed past human limits and found out what's on the other side. Pain. Truth. Maybe. Eventually. Something like peace. The door opens. Doctors rush in. Trainers. People with urgent voices and urgent hands. Time to assess the damage. Time to put these men back together. Time to return to the world where Muhammad Ali is the greatest and Joe Frazier is his greatest enemy. But before the people reach them, Ali says one more thing. Joe. Yeah? Thank you. For what? For making me better. For pushing me. For being the one man who never let me quit. Ali's voice carries something new. Something that might be respect without performance. Without cameras. Just one fighter to another. You made me great. Not my mouth, not my speed. You. Every time I fought you, I had to be better than I ever was before. Had to reach deeper. Had to find parts of myself I didn't know existed. Frazier nods. Understands. Because he feels the same. You made me better too. Made me meaner. Made me tougher. Made me prove I belonged. You always belonged. Took you 10 years to say it. Took me 10 years to be man enough to admit it. The doctors surround them, pull them apart, back to separate corners, separate rooms, separate lives. But something changed in those 15 minutes. Something that neither man fully understands yet, but both men feel. It's not forgiveness. Not quite. 10 years of hurt doesn't evaporate in 15 minutes. But it's a start. A crack in the wall. A possibility that maybe, someday, these two warriors can be something other than enemies. Just when you think the story ends here, there's something more you need to know. 3 days later, Ali is in his Manila hotel room. His body is one massive bruise. Can't move without pain. Can't breathe without remembering. The phone rings. He almost doesn't answer. Too tired. Too broken. But something makes him pick up. Yeah? It's Joe. Ali sits up. Regrets it immediately. Joe, how you doing? Like I got hit by a train. You? Same train hit us both, I think. Frazier's laugh comes through the phone. Rough, painful, real. Listen, I've been thinking about what you said. In the locker room. Ali waits, heart pounding, wondering if Frazier called to take it back. To say 15 minutes of honesty doesn't erase 10 years of hate. I'm still angry, Frazier continues, but I wanted to tell you, what you said meant something. Meant a lot. Actually, took guts to say it. More guts than I thought you had. I don't have much left after 3 fights with you. None of us do. Frazier pauses. But Ali, Muhammad, I want you to know something too. What's that? You're the greatest fighter I ever faced. The greatest fighter anybody ever faced. And I'm proud I was the one who pushed you. Proud I was the one who made you dig deep. Proud I was part of your story. Ali's throat tightens. Joe? I ain't done. Let me finish. Frazier's voice is firm. Strong. The voice of a man who needs to say something. You hurt me. With words. With the things you said. And I won't forget that. Won't pretend it didn't happen. But I also won't forget what you just admitted. What you just apologized for. That takes a big man. Bigger than any man who just throws punches. I should have said it years ago. You said it when you were ready. That's what matters. Frazier breathes into the phone. Ali can hear the pain in each breath. We're too old to stay enemies forever. Too beat up. Too tired. Maybe someday, I don't know. Maybe someday, we can be something else. Friends? I didn't say all that, but there's warmth in Frazier's voice. Actual warmth. Maybe just not enemies. Maybe just 2 old fighters who respect what they did to each other. I can live with that. Good. Because I ain't fighting you again. You want to be friends, you gotta do it without punching me. Ali laughs. Actually laughs. It hurts his ribs, but he doesn't care. Deal. They talk for 10 more minutes. Nothing important, nothing profound. Just 2 men who nearly killed each other talking about their kids, about their injuries, about how the doctors say they should never fight again, about how they probably will anyway because they're idiots who don't know when to quit. When they hang up, Ali sits in his hotel room, looks at his hands, still swollen, still taped, the hands that made him famous, the hands that hurt Joe Frazier, the hands that finally reached out in honesty instead of violence. He thinks about the 15 minutes in that locker room, about Joe's question, about his own answer, about how sometimes it takes nearly dying to be honest, how sometimes the hardest fight is with your own pride, your own ego, your own need to be loved more than you need to be truthful. Muhammad Ali will fight again, will lose his title to Leon Spinks, will win it back, will fight too long and pay the price with his health, with his speech, with his hands that will shake for the rest of his life. But he'll never fight Joe Frazier again. And in some ways, that's his greatest victory. Knowing when the war is over, knowing when respect matters more than winning. Knowing that the greatest opponent he ever faced deserved better than hate, deserved honesty, deserved the 15 minutes in that locker room when 2 warriors finally stopped fighting and started healing. Here's what nobody tells you about redemption. It doesn't fix everything. It doesn't erase the past. 10 years of hurt doesn't disappear because you say sorry in an empty locker room. Joe Frazier will carry the scars of Ali's words for the rest of his life. Will feel the sting of being called ignorant, ugly, a gorilla. Will remember his children crying because of what the man on television said about their father. But redemption isn't about erasing the past. It's about acknowledging it. It's about one man looking another man in the eye and admitting the truth. I hurt you, and I was wrong. Muhammad Ali gave Joe Frazier that in Manila, in 15 minutes after the greatest fight ever fought, when both men were broken enough to be honest, when the cameras were off and the masks could finally fall away. It wasn't enough. How could it be? But it was something. It was a start. It was 2 warriors realizing that the greatest victory isn't in the ring. It's in having the courage to be vulnerable, to be honest, to admit when you've done wrong and wish you could take it back. Years later, long after both men retired, long after Ali's hands started shaking and his speech started slowing, they'd see each other at events, boxing Hall of Fame ceremonies, charity dinners, the kind of gatherings where old fighters go to remember when they were young and invincible. They'd talk, not long conversations, Not deep philosophical discussions, just the kind of talk old warriors share about their kids, their grandkids, their aches and pains, the way their bodies remember every punch even when their minds try to forget. And sometimes, when nobody was watching, when the cameras were pointed elsewhere, Joe Frazier would pat Muhammad Ali's shoulder, just like he did in Manila, in that locker room. After 15 minutes, that changed everything. That pat carried 10 years of pain, 10 years of forgiveness that came slowly, grudgingly, one day at a time. 10 years of two men learning that being human is harder than being heroes. That admitting you're wrong takes more strength than pretending you're invincible. The voice on the recording was Joe Frazier, years later, asked about that night in Manila, about what Ali said, about those 15 minutes alone in the locker room. Did he mean it? The interviewer asked. Frazier thought for a long time, his eyes distant, remembering. Yeah, he meant it. Took him 10 years to say it, cost him everything to admit it, but he meant it. Did it change anything? Everything. Nothing. Frazier shrugged. The hurt didn't go away. But knowing he was sorry, knowing he understood what he did, that mattered. That's all any man can ask for. Another man to own his mistakes. Do you forgive him? Frazier smiled. Sad. Wise. The smile of a man who learned that forgiveness isn't a moment. It's a process. A journey. A choice you make every day. I'm working on it. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. Forgiveness is work. It's not a Hollywood ending where two men hug and everything is fine. It's the daily choice to let go of anger, to remember that the man who hurt you is human, flawed, capable of growth and change, and maybe becoming better than he was. Muhammad Ali taught the world about confidence, about courage, about standing up for your beliefs, even when the whole world tells you you're wrong. But in that Manila locker room, he taught Joe Frazier something else, something more important. He taught him that even the greatest can be wrong. Even the greatest can hurt people. Even the greatest must admit their mistakes and hope, just hope that the person they hurt is strong enough to hear it. Joe Frazier was strong enough. He heard, he absorbed, he carried that honesty with him for the rest of his life. And slowly, painfully, he let go of 10 years of hate and replaced it with something else. Not friendship, not exactly, but respect, understanding, the knowledge that Muhammad Ali was just a man, brilliant, flawed, human. That's the story nobody tells about Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Not the fights, not the knockdowns, not the drama. The 15 minutes in an empty locker room when two warriors stopped trying to destroy each other and started trying to understand each other. It didn't fix everything, but it was enough. Enough to start healing. Enough to prove that even in brutality, there's room for humanity. Even in hate, there's space for truth. Even after 10 years of hurt, 15 minutes of honesty can begin to change everything. Who in your life needs to hear what Muhammad Ali told Joe Frazier that night? Who have you hurt with words, with actions, with the person you needed them to be, instead of the person they are? And more importantly, do you have the courage, the real courage, not the kind that shows up in a ring to admit it, to say, I was wrong, I hurt you, I'm sorry, because that's the hardest fight, not against an opponent, against yourself, against your pride, against your need to be right, instead of your need to be honest. Muhammad Ali won that fight in Manila, not the one in the ring, the one in the locker room, the one where he looked at Joe Frazier and told the truth. And Joe Frazier, the warrior who never quit, who absorbed punishment like no other man, absorbed that truth and started the long process of healing. That's the real thriller in Manila. Not 14 rounds of violence, 15 minutes of honesty, the moment when two great fighters became two great men.